Hello YouTube! In this video I want to show you how I make shelves. I made some shelves like this for the house last year and they came out really well, so I decided to make some for the shop. I want to make some changes in here to make everything a little easier for me to work. As you know, I did a video on this. My shop is very small. It's only like 15 feet by 8 feet or 10 feet, and I got a lot of stuff in here, so I need to rearrange some stuff so that I can have some more room for more stuff. So the first order of business today is to tackle that wall. So the problem, as you can see, is over the years I basically just added to this wall as I needed stuff. I started off with these shelves. Oh no, I'm sorry. I started off with the spoke shave rack, and then I think I added the shelf because I got some more of these very nice planes. And then I think I added that, and then I added the shelf and stuff. And basically, it's a big waste of space. So what I want to do is take all of this off and then put some nice big shelves here so that I can put some of that stuff over here, so I can make room under here for more stuff, and then kind of switch things around to make things a lot easier to use. So the first thing I have to do is take all of that off. Fun. Let's do some movie magic. Ta-da! Wasn't that great? I love movie magic. It makes everything a lot easier. Okay, so the next step is to make the shelves. So let me show you how I do that. Come on. Okay, so let's talk materials. My shelves are basically going to look like this. So I have a supporting post in the middle and then two posts, if you want to call it, on the outside. So the materials you need is going to be plywood, and then you're going to want to have some sort of square material like this, or semi-square material, and then you want to have your shelving material over here. The shelving material that I chose is 18 millimeter thick pine boards. And then this is some, I think it's a 9 millimeter thick, again, pine, 6 centimeters by 9 millimeters. That's going to cover the outside of the posts after we put the shelves in. Don't worry about that. We'll get to that when we start putting the shelves in. But you also want to make yourself a small little spacing board, which is cut from one of the shelves. And I'll explain what to do with that later. If you're going to make 2 sets of shelves, like me, you're going to want to make 3 of these cases. And what I mean by cases is we're going to make a frame using the square material and the plywood. So since we have 3 of these frame structures that are going to hold the shelves, you need 2 pieces of plywood that are full length, 90 centimeter long, if that's how long your shelf is going to be. And then for the insides, you're going to need spacing boards over here. So we have 4 centimeter thick spacing board, and then I have a 22 centimeter thick spacing board. These are 4 pieces of that, and then I have 8 pieces of 290 length spacing board. So let's make a frame. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so we're going to start off by making the left side. So if this is our drawing here for the shelves, we're going to start by making this frame on the left side. So that means that the outer side is going to be a full piece of plywood. Okay, so this is going to be the outer side. I'm looking at the grain here, and I kind of like this better for the outside. So we're going to make the frame on this side. Okay, so this is going to go like this. This is going to be the outside. This is going to be the inside. So if this is the outside, then that means that this is the part that's going to be against the wall. So we want to put the first frame member here, your long piece, on the side opposite the wall. Do not put it on the side that's going to attach to the wall. That's very important, okay? So I want this to be this way because I want to have this outside to eventually be 6 centimeters wide, so I can attach my covering to it. So I'm going to get my nail gun Let's see how big my nail's in here. Yeah, that should be good. So now I'm going to flip this over. I'm just going to stand these guys up so that I can put this down and it'll be flat. And I'm going to line up the outside edge with the edge of the plywood and then nail it. Okay, make sure it's all lined up and flush. So now we're going to take our cross members, and again, we want to make sure they have the same width here. When you cut your cross members, this is another tip here. I'm just going to put this on so that you can see what it's going to look like when it's on the wall, okay? This is going to be against the wall, right? And you have your cross member here in between. We're going to make a frame. It's going to look like that. Now, this piece, as I'm going to show you later, we're going to attach to the wall first, okay? And then we're going to slide this frame over it. So, if your wall, let's say that the gypsum board that you have on your wall is buckled a little bit, you know, it may be imperceivable, but if you go over with your hand, you may feel bumps, stuff like that. That's common in walls, okay? So you don't want to run into a situation where you make these cross members flush with this, because what that's going to do is when you slide the frame onto this, it's not going to go on all the way, because the buckling in the gypsum is going to prevent the outside of the plywood from coming flush with the wall, okay? So just as a precaution, you should make these cross members just a little bit shorter than they need to be. So in my case, I made it like, I don't know, like 1/4 of an inch shorter, okay? But that's okay, it's not gonna do anything structurally, it'll still be plenty strong. So, we're gonna flip this over and nail these guys in. So, make sure it's flush with the bottom. Like that. And then take your nail gun and nail it. I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing for the top and the middle. And then sometimes what I like to do, if I'm nailing stuff in from the opposite side and I can't see it, is I will take a ruler, square rather, and just put a slight line that you can sand off later so you can see exactly where the nails are going to go, and you won't miss the piece inside. Okay, so now that is the outside of our frame, and now we have to do the inside. And to do that, look at that, we need our small pieces. So we're going to first start with the bottom, which is going to be this 4 centimeter wide piece. We're going to nail that onto the bottom. Now, you want to get your piece of shelving that you cut off before, which is right here. Okay, so this is a piece from the shelves. Okay, same thickness. What we're going to do is we're going to wrap some tape around this to give it a little bit of thickness. We're going to go 1, 2, and 3 times. Okay. This is going to be our spacing board. We want to have some space so that it's not too difficult to slide the shelves in after we get everything up on the wall. So, that's your spacing board with your tape. And you're going to put that, take the piece that's going to go against the wall and just put it up just so you have something to lay the pieces of plywood down on the other side. Make it a lot easier to nail. Okay? Then you're going to take that, you're going to put that in there like that. And then you're going to take your bottom piece. For me, it's my 22 centimeter wide piece. I'm going to lie that right on top. Make sure it's all nice and flush. And now you're going to nail it to the outside only. Like that. Voila. Take out your spacer, move it on up. And then you're going to take, in my case, I want the space between the next shelf to be 29 centimeters. So we're going to put that on top, push it down flush, and again, nail to the outside and the cross member, the inside cross member only. Okay. And now this is going to come out. Like that. Boom. And you have your left side all done. Now you're going to continue to make the middle and the right side the exact same way. And I'll get back to you after I finish that. Okay, so now we have our 3 frames complete. We have the right side with the shelving spaces. This is going to be the middle partition with shelving spacers on both sides. And then we have the outside, the left side piece, as so, okay? I didn't mention it earlier, I should have. If you want to paint these, you should probably do it before you put all this together. That's what I did with the shelves inside. When all the plywood was all flat and uncut, I painted it all and then I cut it to size. It makes the process a whole lot easier and it looks a lot cleaner. So since these are shop shelves, excuse me, Sally sold seashells on the seashore, I could say that one. Since these are shop shelves, I decided not to paint it and just get through it so that I can rearrange everything else and get working on other projects. So now that you have that done, you're going to put these aside and you want to take 3 of these square pieces, the same that you used for the framing, and these are going to be the pieces that are going to attach to the wall. So the whole idea is after we attach these to the wall, we're going to take these frames and we're going to slide them on, okay? So to make that a lot easier, what I like to do is bevel the edges on that side so that they don't get hung up, because sometimes when you're doing this by yourself, one of the shelves in the middle, like one of these partitions, like since this is fairly thin plywood, it might bend a little as you're trying to push something on and it gets caught and you can't really get it on. So just as a pro tip, bevel the outsides. So I'm just going to take this and put it in between my bench dogs. Make sure I got it the right way, so I'm beveling the right side. And I'm going to grab a hand plane. This little guy will do the trick. I'm going to take fairly thick cuts off this because I want to get through it quick. Doesn't have to be pretty. Just a couple passes. Just to make it a little easier, a little rounder on the outside. Flip it over. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Boom. And there you go. Just a little bit of a rounded edge to make it easier for the frame to slide on. To attach these pieces to the wall, I'm going to use these very stout screws. They're about 6 millimeters in diameter. So I have drilled, I should say, holes in all the pieces so that I don't have to worry about splitting them. Now I'm going to use my bit and brace to countersink the holes, just so that it looks a little nicer. There's my countersink bit on my brace. Love this little guy. So I've marked off the places on the wall where I want to attach these, and I'm going to take a small piece of double-sided tape and put it on the back in the middle, just to kind of act as like a third hand. And the reason I'm putting it in the middle is because when I put it on the wall, I'll be able to shift it very little left or right in order to get it straight before I screw it into the wall. So I've gotten my mark on the wall, and now I'm going to use a level, put it up against the piece, make sure that I'm close to my mark, up at the top, press it down so that that double-sided tape sticks a little bit, and then I'm going to take a look at my level. And I'm going to move my level, move the piece rather, until that is level. And then go up. Ooh. Okay. And screw this in. Now I think I'm going to drill pilot holes just because these screws are so large, and then I won't have the same problem getting through the gypsum. And by the way, you want to do this into your studs. This workshop, it's kind of uniquely built. Underneath this gypsum, there's a 1/2-inch plywood that goes along the whole thing. I don't know why they did it that way, but it makes it really convenient for hanging stuff on the wall because you don't really have to worry about where the stud is. You can just kind of aim for anywhere. So, lucky me. And there you go. First support in. Now I'm going to do the other two. Okay, so now that that is done, we're going to attach the frames. And make sure you got it going the right way with the bottom on the bottom. And remember, we left this open. That's the part that's on the wall now. So now we're just going to take this and slide it on like that. Push it up. And then take, doesn't have to be a large screw, but just take some sort of screw. And screw it from the side through the plywood panel. It's good to have self-tapping screws for this part of the process, if possible. It makes it a lot easier. I'm using about inch-long screws right now. I'm going to switch over and put some longer 2-inch screws in there after I get this exactly where I want it. But I think it's looking good. It looks pretty flush against the back wall, which is good. So we're good to go. It's flush against the top, and everything looks good. So I'm going to continue to screw this in from the sides, both sides, to secure it. And then I'll do the same for the right and left. Okay, so now we have our 3 supports in place. Now the next order of business is to cut the shelves to length. And I like to do this just from experience, each shelf individually. I mean, they should be exactly the same size, but you know, with woodworking, you never know. And I've run into situations where I've cut them all the same size, and then it turns out that one is too short or one is too long or whatever like that. So just to be safe, I like to do it one at a time. So we'll slip this in right on the end, offer this up to the middle support, and I'm going to use my marking knife to make a little mark in there. And I'm going to cut it. So I cut all the shelves, and luckily they all fit pretty good. This bottom one, when I put the plywood on this middle piece, this bottom section of plywood was a little off. So the back is very tight. So what I did was I took a hand plane and I just put a little bevel. Get that into focus there. Hello, there we go. As you can see, I put a little bevel on the end so that when it goes into the back, like this, it'll fit perfect. And there you go. So now we got all the shelves in. The next step is to put the facade, if you will, on the outside, and then it'll be done. Okay, so I've taken one of my 6 centimeter by 9 millimeter pieces of pine, and I have mitered it on the miter saw. as you can see. And now I'm going to, I want to take the sticker off first. You know, wood in Japan, the stores, they put these stickers on, right? If you can see that. There you go. So like every piece of wood, every single piece of wood has a barcode to be scanned. And it's really a pain in the ass because you got to take the stickers off and they don't really come off very easily. Some stores have stickers that are better, that come off easier, but not this one. If you remember, this bottom spacer was 4 centimeters wide. And then the shelves themselves are 18 millimeters, which is almost 2 centimeters. So we got 6 centimeters. So the way I designed it is so that when you offer this up like that, it comes flush with the bottom shelf. And that's exactly what I want. Okay. Then we'll do the top the same way, and then we'll measure the middle parts and put them on the outside. So my intention with these shelves was to do it real simple. I had made similar shelves for inside the house about 6 months ago, and I did fluting and molding on the outside. It looked really nice. But since these were shop shelves, I just wanted to get it done and quick and over with. However, in the course of moving stuff around inside the shop, I found my baby. My Stanley number 55, the monster. And as luck would have it, it's already set up to do some molding. So if anyone has ever used these, you know what a pain in the ass it is to set it up to do anything. So I didn't want to waste the opportunity, and I figured I would make some crown molding for the shelves and maybe do some fluted columns in the middle. So let's get to that. So since I decided to do this crown molding, I went down to the hardware store and I bought some thicker pieces for the top. Reason being is I'm going to turn this into molding, so that means it's going to reduce the thickness to about maybe a third, or excuse me, 2/3 of what it is. And my center column pieces are 6 millimeters thick, right? The ones that I'm going to do the fluting on. So then when I have the molding and I put this underneath it, it'll match up fairly good thickness-wise. It'll look pretty good. So you want to get your sticking board if you have one. If you don't have one, I suggest that you make it. It's very, very convenient for making moldings. Basically, it's just a piece of wood with some screws in the end that you can drill in or out, adjust the height to match the thickness of the piece of wood that you want to make into molding. And then you have a fence that you screw in and you adjust that in or out depending on the width of your board. So I've already set this up to the width of my board. And now I'm going to start making the molding. Now the key to making a molding with one of these old planes, once you have everything set up perfectly, the iron in there and the skis and everything adjusted perfectly, what you want to do next is lower the fence as much as possible. This one, I think it's already lowered pretty much as far as it can go without coming out. Because the idea is you want to take several passes, very thin passes each time, as thin as you can make it, and then raise the fence with each subsequent pass as you get deeper and deeper, okay? And the fence will help you to regulate that. So let's give it a try. Let's make sure these boards that I bought also, unfortunately, it's not one continuous piece of wood. If you look at it, if you look closely, there are joints. The wood has been spliced together. You find this very often in Japan with fairly cheap pine. Not that anything is cheap here anymore. But because of that, the grain is not always going in the same direction. As you can see right here, this piece and that piece, the grain is not really going in the right direction. Especially here, you got a cathedral there. That might lead to some turnout. So I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to use this side. This side looks like it's fairly continuous, and if I go that way, I might be able to avoid some turnout. Did I just say turnout? Tear out, right. Okay, so let's see how this goes here. Push the plane up against the wood as tight as you can as you make this pass. There we go, that's looking good. Make sure you clean the plane out after each pass so it doesn't get all clogged. Okay, that's looking good. Now this piece is going to be for the sides, okay? So I'm going to get the longer piece before I adjust the plane. This is going to be for the front. If you can see, it's much longer. So I want to see which is going to be the best way, or the best side for my molding to prevent tear out. And I'm thinking maybe this way would be good. There's a cathedral here, but we'll see. So I'm going to put that in and take the same passes before I adjust anything on the plane. Okay, so that is the profile. Can you see that? There you go. There you go, that's a little better. And now I'm going to make the fluted columns for the center. And I'll get back to you. Okay, so I finished the crown molding and I mitered it and attached it, as you can see up there. So now the only thing left to do is to make the fluted columns that'll go in the center on both sides. So this is going to be the same process as before. We're going to take our board and put it in the sticking board. And I've set up the number 55 to do beads, which we're going to do 3 times, once in the center and then on either side to get some columns. Now, if you've ever used number 55 for beading, if you read the instructions that come with these things, they say that you don't need the outer ski. They say you only need the main body. Unfortunately, maybe mine is designed a little differently, but the depth gauge on these is not cut out enough for the beading iron. So you can't adjust it. And if you can't adjust it, you're just going to keep on putting a groove into it until you go through the other side. So you need to use the other ski, and you use this depth gauge here, the ski that comes out here. That's going to be your depth gauge for the beading iron. Just a little tip if any of you have these. So take light passes at first, and then gradually go until the depth gauge hits. Okay, that worked out well. Now let's adjust this for the outside. This is a 6 centimeter board, so we're going to make marks at 3, and then 1.5, 3, and 4.5. 3. Actually, you know what? Because of the thickness of the groove here, let's come over to 11. Okay. So, there we go. We have our fluted columns. Now all we have to do is measure and attach. So let's do that. And there you go. All done. So if you wanted to paint this, like I said earlier, you should definitely paint all the parts before you start putting it together. Make it a lot easier. And then all you have to do is fill in your nail holes with putty, and then go over it, just touch up the paint, and you'll be good. And actually, if the nails are pretty flush with the outside, you really don't have to fill it in with putty or anything. Just go over it with a brush, small little, small little fine artist painting brush with the same color paint, and you'll be fine. Voila. Well, that looks 100 times better than it did. I'm really pleased with that. I wound up wiping it down with a coat of oil wax just to give it a little bit of protection. Nothing special, and I only did the outside. I didn't do the inside shells. So that's it. That's how I make shells. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. Take care.